You're killing people. I'm not killing people. I'm killing boys. Boys are just playthings. They come and they go. I am a god.
I don't have a knife or want to use one for this part, but I reenact the stabbing of Jennifer with the can opener. You stab me in the tit. It's something I never thought I'd say in my life.
But all jokes aside, how fantastic was Jennifer's body? And I feel like 10 years later, it's finally getting the recognition it deserves. Like in 2009, when it first came out, I was like, Megan Fox in a horror movie? Ugh, terrible. But it was supposed to be hokey, and it was supposed to kind of just be dark. It wasn't really supposed to be a horror movie. Like, we're not talking here like, I don't know, like Carrie or like, you know, another female slasher movie. No, it was more supposed to just be dark, funny, satire on like what it's like to be a teenage girl, because as far stretched as that was, it's really crappy to be a teenage girl. I know from firsthand experience. But anyway, Jennifer's Body should have been, and it's kind of getting that cult classic status that it finally deserves. You've the three main ingredients that really make a cult classic. You had a killer cast. You had a young Chris Pratt, Adam Brody, Amanda Seyfried, Miss Fox herself. I feel like this movie kind of like really, it was around the time that she was blowing up. So she was, I think in my opinion, if you were going to cast somebody as a succubus, you hit the nail on the head. They did a great job. The soundtrack, amazing. You had bands like Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco. Like, this is when pop punk and emo was big. And it really fit in well with the whole like high school trope, because it's what we were listening to in high school. Hayley Williams, like, it was our first solo song. It's fantastic. But it had a little bit, you know, like, had some grunge in there too. Like, you know, spoiler alert, at the end when Amanda Seyfried's character, Needy, is killing the band that started the whole movie, that the reason this is happening, Courtney Love's band Hole is playing, which, yeah, as trash as Courtney Love is, like, Hole's a pretty good band as a whole. But and the third log in the fire to fuel this little badass mamma jamma, you had an original story, a very original plot, which for horror movies nowadays, it's hard to come by. But was the whole thing original? Yeah, I just sipped my tea. I bet you didn't know Jennifer's Body was actually based on a true crime. You're sitting here going, yeah, Alicia, because, like, there's a real succubus in real life who'll run around eating men. As if. But what if I told you there was a band that actually wanted to launch themselves into stardom by sacrificing a virgin to the Dark Lord Satan? You'd probably still be like, oh my God, Alicia, that never happened. But it did. Let's rewind the clocks back to July of 1995. Yes, I was 5 years old. I was a baby. There was a band called Hatred. They weren't a big band. They were like your little local metal band in Aurora Grande. It took me forever to learn how to say that. Aurora. I'm very not good at rolling my R's. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to roll your R in there. But it was Aurora Grande, California. This band was made up, and I gotta look at my cue card for these names. I was doing so good without the cue cards, but these, you got Jacob Delashot, Royce Casey, and Joey Fiorella. Ugh. Oh. whole thing is just a mouthful for me. Most things are. And this happened to poor Elise Poller. She met Jacob in a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center. And they were going to just hang out, like, hey, let's just chill, kick it. They were going to go, partake in the devil's lettuce. So she said goodbye to her family. Nobody knew this was going to be the last time they had seen their sweet daughter. And they took her out to a eucalyptus grove. And that's where they took her life. They, I believe, stabbed her 12 times from what I read. And when she still wouldn't die, like she was calling out for help, like they stepped on her throat, until like she had taken her last gasping breath. I heard she was like crying out for like her mom, like her family, just anybody to come like help her. And yeah, that was her demise in this eucalyptus grove in Aurora, California. And what is terrible is this wasn't the first time they had tried to do this to her. They had attempted a few months prior, and they backed out. So you're like, why do they have this affinity for, like, this lust for this girl? Well, they believed that if they sacrificed a beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed virgin to Satan, it would launch their band into superstardom. Does that sound like a familiar story for a really great movie? Yeah. And the band actually said that they did it because of Slayer. Slayer has a song that talks about sacrificing a virgin at an altar to the Dark Lord Satan. And finally, it was Casey Royce Casey, I believe his name was. I believe Casey is the one who finally came through and admitted what they had done to her. And the worst part is they didn't find her until March of 1996. The worst part was they went back several times during that year and defiled the body. Yeah, after they had stabbed and murdered her, they defiled her body. I'm not sure if that's part of the satanic ritual. Definitely was not in Jennifer's body, but and I believe again it was Casey that finally came forward, and he turned over a new leaf. He went from Satanism to Christianity, and it kind of like ate him alive about what they had done to this beautiful girl. The boys got, I believe it was 25 years to life. And the family actually went and started a lawsuit against Slayer and like metal music because the boys stated that that's what had influenced them to murder was metal music. That it's in the lyrics. They believed, doing the occult, the sacrifice would launch their metal band into superstardom. It was overturned because they had already had the warning labels on the music, so the family really didn't have a leg to stand on in this lawsuit. Of course, Slayer was like super cool about it. They're like, sorry what happened to your daughter, but you can't blame music. It's kind of like the age-old thing, like, do video games cause violence? Do violent television, does it cause crime? Metal music, does it make us want to, put up our devil horns and hail Satan? So, but that's where the premise of Jennifer's Body came from. You have this rock band who wants to launch themselves into stardom, and you have the beautiful Jennifer Fox, who they believe is a virgin. So they try to sacrifice her to Satan to launch their band into stardom. Now, here's where it backfires. Jennifer's not a virgin. So she actually winds up, this like demon gets stuck in her body, Jennifer's body, and she has to feast on the blood and flesh she decides to choose, human boys because they're what made her, what she is today. So she chooses to feed on the flesh of teenage boys to stay a young and beautiful succubus. I mean, eventually she winds up dying. Her friend's like, "You killed my boyfriend, my high school boyfriend who I love." So she finally kills her friend Jennifer. She's like, "You can't eat people, it's not right. You can't kill people, it's wrong." I don't know, if my best friend was a bloodthirsty demon, I'd be like, "You go, girl. I got a list of people I need you to take care of." Ultimately, in the end, though, like, the best friend, like, gets revenge on the band because they're the ones who caused this whole thing to begin with. But it is a little bit crazy to think that such a obscure, like, crazy story for a movie is based upon real life events. So that's my little synopsis on Jennifer's Body and my personal favorite movie, and the story that inspired it. It is really upsetting. It's really tragic. Any kind of event that's, blamed on pop culture, music, it's upsetting, and it doesn't make it any more, doesn't make it any more okay. But anyway, my friends, happy 2021. Here we go. We're launching ourselves into the new year, into a grumpkin new year. A lot more coming your way. Stay tuned.